No nonsense, no how. Second channel here with a classic no frills video brake job on a 1996 Dodge Ram. About a month or so ago, I heard the front brakes start squeaking real bad. And I said, get those brakes on order because you know the squealers are hitting the rotors and I'm not gonna be grinding too much longer later. Well, it went on the back burner. I've been driving and now we have a trip coming up tomorrow, actually, heading to the Knoebels. So this is going to be kind of a my opinion on these A premium disc brake and pads. 200 bucks you can get these for. I was like, all right, well, that's cheap, let me try them out. I'm not usually a fan of drilled rotors, so they actually had the solid rotors and they have the slotted drilled. And the only reason I say that is because when I worked at a shop for a long time, I would just see issues with them. Some vehicles, you could hit the brakes and almost like feel the drilled holes in them. You can feel it in the brake pedal, and then also these holes will just get packed with brake dust and such anyway. But I do run this Ram here pretty hard, so I was like, you know what, everybody says, all right, they run cooler, they're better, not very much more to get them, so we'll give them a go, see how they are. Now this brand I went with because they had pretty good reviews and they were very cheap. These came packaged well. You can see they, I guess, is zinc coated or, you know, galvanized, probably, yeah, zinc coating, and just some run-of-the-mill brake pads. It's unbeatable pricing on this stuff. You got new pin bushings and some thick brake pads. Anyway, let me get this off. We'll take a look at them. You can see we are metal to metal on the passenger side. Didn't have any brake pulsations, and this actually wasn't making any noise at all. So you can see how some guys can go metal to metal so long where it will eventually just get rid of the brake pad, spit it out, and pistons pop out. You know, I've seen it all. But yeah, these are pretty bad. Very grooved with a big lip, probably under spec. And lots of heat checking, cracks, whatever you want to call those. Needs brakes. I did replace these calipers years ago, and oh, look at that, the piston is still nice and shiny. Our inboard pad, actually about 6/32 on there, outboard's grinding. Normally that would indicate an issue, but you can see these are not hanging up at all. So, you know, sometimes that's just normal with some brakes just wear uneven either way, but we'll see if we got anything sticky. This is a 3/8 hex to get these pins out. Oh yeah, those snug down good. Since we're replacing the rotors too, we can take a screwdriver, put it in between the rotor and the pad, and go ahead and tap that in there. And pop our bleeder cap off. Ah, I love those OEM caps, still in good shape. The aftermarket ones, they disintegrate in a matter of no time. And this should be, yeah, 10mm. If you got factory caliper bleeds on there, then it's going to be 3/8 more than likely. And drop a hose on, and this is going to a 2-liter. Go ahead and open that. Oh man, you get no rust like that. I'll open it, and then look, I'm applying a little pressure with this tiny little screwdriver, and that piston is sliding in no problem. And the old fluid is going into here. It's not that black because I actually suck the fluid out usually once a year out of the master cylinder reservoir up top, and then I suck it out, put some fresh in there, and yeah, that kind of gets into the system. Not like a full brake service, but now we can take a bigger pry bar since there's a little bit more room in there, and then push this piston the rest of the way. And if it's not moving, you know, that could mean you have the pad hanging up in this caliper here, or a lot of rust in there. I try not to drive this truck in the winter. My Tundra is my winter goer, but I do drive it in the winter. So as you're approaching down toward the end, go ahead and shut it as you're getting toward the end. And we're not getting any air into the system. Not that you really would, because the fluid's pushing down. You know, this is like the fluid is going to overcome any air trying to go into that bleed port. And there's the fluid that we got out. Not bad at all, actually. Now we can slide this off of here, the caliper. You can see up top, I always put anti-seize on these instead of like grease, but that held up pretty good. You know, it's not bad. Let's see if these slide the pins in here. Well, those are pretty tight, but Yeah, stack that right there, or hang it up with a strap or a bungee cord. I don't want to be yanking on this because these are actually braided hoses I put on here. I'll hang it up with a strap so it doesn't go dropping and ripping that. Go ahead and pop your inboard pad out. See, I had the blue spray on there. In about 6-30 seconds, and the outboard. Again, pop that one out. Oh, metal to metal. But boy, look at that piston inside. That's what happens when you avoid driving in the salt. Now, if we were really in a rush, we'll just pad slap this. Good to go. Easiest brake job in the world. And we could do that, but want to replace the rotors. And unfortunately, Dodge did not make these super easy to do because the rotor is behind the flange here to whatever hub. And when I last did these, I believe I used an on-car lathe to cut them. If you have one of those handy and they're not all super grooved and gouged or under spec, then that saves a lot of time. When I say under spec, I mean, you know, there's a spec for the thickness of this rotor. Once it's beneath that, no good. I am a big fan of cutting rotors. Especially if you have factory original rotors, cut them. The aftermarket stuff just doesn't seem to last as good. The metal is not as good. You can tap them with a hammer side by side and you'll often hear a difference. Before we go taking off, let's make sure this is the right rotor. Yes, the bolt pattern fits, and okay. Yeah, pretty similar sound, so that's good. Sometimes you get a real dull sound like they've dumped a bunch of lead in the casting. I don't know. Then again, BMW, Mercedes rotors, those are pretty soft and they break very nicely, but they don't last. They wear down really quickly. Now go ahead and pop the cotter pin out. The axle nut, 1.11" fits the bill, or that's probably like 40 something millimeter if you got metric stuff. Oh, it did fit the bill. There it goes. Slide your washer off, and yeah, this is Dana 60 on the front, and yes, remove the 4 12-point bolts holding the hub assembly on. 9/16 that is. Luckily you can easily get at them with a ratchet and a deep socket, no problem. Milwaukee M12 ratchet saves a lot of wrist pain. Yeah, so with the rust though, these 12 points can get pretty stubborn to get out. There it goes. Alrighty, there we go. If you had bearing noise, now would be a good time to replace your bearings. See, we got a spacer. This one's a little crusty, but we'll clean that up. Then we have the backing plate. If yours is shot, you know, just put it back together without it. And then this is your hub bearing assembly. And mine is good as can be, so I'm not gonna replace it. Now we can lay down a few blocks of wood, flip this over. And we got the S-wing drilling hammer, mini sledge, whatever you want to call it. Pound these studs out. And the hub, you can see, comes right off the rotor. I now want to take our hub and clean this surface, especially where the rotor seats onto the hub. Clean that really good so you don't get no grime in between, causing, giving you a brake pulsation, warped rotors. And go ahead and clean all the rust off of this too, making sure to not get any of that inside of here. So tape it off or whatever you got to do. I'm now going to take grease and just put a little smear on all these mating surfaces, and that's just for ease of getting this off in the future. Definitely a step that you can skip. The surface shield would work good too, even on this part too. Oh yeah, just slop it up, and the next guy, who will probably be me, is going to thank you. Now we can drop our rotor on, and since these are slotted and drilled, they are directional. We're on the driver's side, so this slot will be kind of cutting in that way. This is the way it's going to spin. But the vanes on the inside, you can see, are straight. Those are not angled. You'll see some performance rotors, they actually have angled vanes as well to help with the airflow and heat dissipation. It's a good idea to, you know, clean your gloves off, not get greasy paw prints all over the new rotors, but not a big deal if you get a little grease on them. Just wipe it off with acetone before you go put the brake pads on. Then we can drop our studs into place and get yourself a nice fat punch. Hammer these in. Get those all seated flush. And now you can clean all the rust from the backing plate and spacer, but I'm going to just dust this off a little bit, hit them with Surface Shield. Same thing on here. Where this hub bearing seats, right here, here, and here, just make sure that's clean and there's no crud on it. It doesn't really matter. You can see it's not making contact there. I'll hit this with a wire wheel. Whoop! Don't do that. Okay, that's clean enough. Good time to check your U-joint and grease it too. And grease these when I'm all done, but that feels great. Now actually another important part is where the bearing seats on the back here. Make sure that doesn't have any crud or rust. Lots and lots of grease, yes. Now, love it or hate it, but on these backing plates, I'm gonna hit them with Surface Shield. I didn't clean all the rust. You know, I just wiped it down a little bit. And look at this. This is gonna soak into that rust and just cause it to last a lot longer. And I can tell you from personal experience that it truly does work. Use motor oil, Surface Shield, whatever you got. Hit it up. And then let the crud and dirt build up on it. And, you know, don't let the rotor touch it, but rub it in there. And this will it'll look beautiful, you know, after all the dust clings to it. Now ready to put it on, but on these bolts, I'm gonna go ahead and put some Loctite, red Loctite at that. Use what you got. If you have a hard time getting these off in the future, just apply a little bit of heat. That breaks the Loctite right down, loosens it up, and it's no problem. With our protective sticker off, we're gonna take a little bit more grease, smush that all over the back side of the bearing as a barrier. Get that piece of paper towel out as a barrier to protect it from water, salt water getting into that bearing. Any moisture gets in there, and then you park the truck, you're gonna get a little bit of rust, which is gonna start pitting, and the chrome will start peeling, and you will get bearing noises. So there we go. That is probably too much, actually. Yeah, we'll reduce the grease, reduce a little bit. And then put your spacers back on, put this back together. The torque spec I found online for these is 125 foot-pounds, but you know, good and tight is always fine too. Let's see how this feels. Oh yeah, I'd say that feels pretty nice. I always go a little extra too, you know? Why not? By feel is always the best way, unless you're doing like a head gasket across a big broad surface. Washer, axle nut, snug it down. Now clean up your contacts where the caliper slides, and could have done this before, but and depending on how bad your caliper is, do the same thing up in here. See, this one's pretty darn clean. We're gonna make sure that these slide too, which they're pretty tight right now. You see the sleeve is not rusted, so I'm just gonna clean this up and probably grease it, and then of course replace these with the new ones. Let's see how these feel. Oh yeah, you hear all that rust in there. We're gonna clean all that rust out on the inside and use some silicone brake grease to hopefully prevent this rust again. A wire brush like this will work good. Better even use a small brake hone or something, get it really clean in there. And one of these guys. I'll be honest, when I put these calipers on, I bet you I never took these out and greased them on the inside, and I should have, because then this rust jacking that's occurring, it wouldn't have happened. Just get that in there, and then, oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that did a beautiful job, I tell you. And I'll use some of this Sil Glide silicone brake grease, and I will apply that to the inside of the bore. We could reuse these old slide bushings. I'll actually keep them as spares, but I have the new ones, so why not? We'll replace them. Goes in with the fat lip on the back, and look at that. Boom. I'll do the same thing on this side. And then those should slide nicely in here now. Now you can use the silicone grease, or I like to use a little anti-seize where the iron to iron contacts are. Same thing on the caliper. If those are all pitted though, clean them first. And then back to the silicone brake grease. I'm gonna put some on the piston surface where it contacts the pad. Same thing on the side, the outboard pad side, these little ears. And for the outboard pad, you see the squealers in two different locations. This would not be proper. You know, if the rotor's spinning this way, we want the squealer to be on the side where the rotor is spinning into. And essentially this little piece of metal is there so that when you get down to about 30 seconds, these brakes will start making a really loud noise. And if you keep driving, it'll eventually just probably snap and wear this off. Like over on my old pad, and you see it did that. Snap this into place, and we can drop our caliper back on. Go good and tight on these caliper bolts, 3/8 hex. Now I'm going to drop a 3/8 extension into the rotor vane. We got this torque wrench set to 180 foot-pounds. That's a spec I found online for this axle nut. That feels pretty good to me though. And then it says back it off until you can get the cotter into place. So yeah, I will have to back that off a touch. And drop a new cotter pin in. Double check all your work. Go ahead and grease your chassis while you're at it. You know, the U-joints, the tie rod ends, the ball joints. Hopefully all that's greasable on your truck like it is on this one. Get going on the other side. Of course, it's going to be quite the same as this, so I don't need to show you that. But don't forget to pump your brake pads up, because you know, before you go driving right now, these pads are just floating around in here. You got to pump that pedal until these pads come out. You go driving, well, you're gonna not have brakes right off the rip if you don't do that. Don't forget to hand torque your lug nuts. I read 145 online, and I did feel some of those studs pull just a little bit more in. Probably not a bad idea to retorque these after thermally cycling the brakes too. After brandishing them, should I say, since the stud goes through the brake rotor. Now, over on the passenger side, we ended up having quite a bit more meat, really half-life on these pads. Now, all I did was clean up the calipers, replace the rubber grommets for the sliders, and grease those up. And I'm gonna put these back together as is, because nothing wrong with that rotor. I had no brake pulsations at all before, so this will be a great opportunity to give this slotted and drilled rotor a good shakedown run after 500 miles. Make sure no pulsations from that or noises or anything before I go wasting the labor of putting it on this side. I want to make sure it's good first, and again, there's just, why fix it if it ain't broke? You can see with the new pads, these do, the inboard one has like, it's like ½ inch of material, and then maybe 10-30 seconds on the outboard pad. And, I mean, they're side by side, plenty of life. No cracking or separation in the backing plate. These are good to go. Don't forget to recheck your brake fluid level, especially if you pushed your pistons in with the bleeder open. So you push that fluid out, you want to top this back off to the max level with brand new brake pads. I'm gonna suck and change this out though. See how clean that reservoir is, just sucking the fluid out. It's because I do it every year or two. Oh yeah, look at that, nice fresh brake fluid. Might as well switch out the clutch fluid too while we're at it. That actually doesn't get very dirty in this truck though. My Tundra, it does for some reason. A little pump and dump never hurts though. Replenish that fluid. Because it does absorb moisture over time, so we keep it fresh. Also, you never end up with that sludge on the bottom. Don't forget to brandish your new brake pads by doing a few hard stops down to a complete stop from speed. Do that like 3-4 times, get them hot and broken in. So far they feel great. We're now switching over to a little camping trip segment, heading out to Knoebels. I'll give the brakes a good run for the money, see how they hold up. And the rest of this is just kind of, I guess you'd call it a trip vlog. So, appreciate you guys watching very much if you decide to tune in any further. brakes did good. Let's take a look at them rotors down there. Oh yeah, excellent. That was many long hills with some braking, because if you go into third gear it's too slow, fourth gear is too fast. They're actually booked up this weekend, but we got here on Thursday, and their Hallow Fest, or the Halloween festivities. So, good little spot here. We get it set up, get a fire going, and have a good time. Real ideal with the non-opening extended cab, but the little one fits back there just fine. Yeah, we're camping, Autumn. That's right.
Where's your shoe?
You took a long nap. What'd you do with the shoe? You took the shoe off? Can you get a smile?
Did the dishes.
Yay! Well, today's the day. It should fill up here, I think. Already a few people coming in. Get some breakfast going. Jen's got some pork roll on. Autumn's taking care of Gus. Oh, and this lens is all foggy.
Yes.
It's so cold. So cold, Gus. Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Hi, Autumn. Come on, you. All right. I know. Hungry little girl. Whoop, oh, slow down.
Right to the mouth.
Mmm. Yum yums. Is that chicken yummy? Yeah.
Ooh,
Mmm.
get out of here. There's a fly.
This guy's got the square body Chevy. Yeah. Love how this place has the family cottages still here too. Throughout the park. These are great. Yeah, really close to the park. Well, it's a good thing that we got here on Thursday, because now you can see this is check-in over here, and there's just like a line of campers coming in the park. A big traffic jam of campers. Being off season though, the park's not even open yet. It opens 6 p.m. so like 30 minutes from now. It's just open on the weekends. Hey! What are you doing? Picking up wood chips? Flyer. One of the coolest rides out there. We're Saturday morning now. You can see this place has filled up quite a bit. I wouldn't say it's booked, but not far off. And it's cool when this place gets packed completely, but there are some downsides. I'd say one of them is they sell like wet, unseasoned wood up front, and so at nighttime everybody's trying to get a fire going, and it's just a smoke fest. We were getting smoked out here last night. Oh, I do love the smell of burning pine wood. That or cedar, the best smell ever. Love how all the camp trucks are these old square body Chevys too. Good reliable truck there. Oh, and the Astro too. BYOD, dog friendly place. We let you in here too. Yeah. Getting some breakfast over here. Still going strong. Water powered. Love it. I'll do something like this in the backyard. It's got that heavy mineral taste. Gotta smooth it, buddy. Love all the homemade structures. Definitely got to ride the carousel tonight. Hand carved horses. I love how even though the park's not open, you can come in here and just walk around.
Yeah.
Love that sound. Never gets old. I love it. Yeah. Do they ever have two trains or only one always?
It all depends. Like during the summer, they'll have two trains.
Okay.
Like off season or early in the summer, early in the spring, like so much. I bet you will have two trains.
Yeah, I think. Autumn, did you take your shoe off again? What you got there? Huh? That's a big one. Gus over here snuggling up next to the fire. Yeah. Oh, you're so warm. Getting all that radiant heat. How'd Operation Bag Dump go?
It was fine. Worked out. I had the decoy bag, the disguise bag, and then the inner bag, and I cut a hole in the pee bag inside and dumped it in the toilet.
She was dumping her poop.
There's no poop, it was just pee.
Get that out of your mouth. Okay, I'll get you another. We should start a leaf book for her. You ever see those?
A leaf book?
Yeah. You better be good tonight. Very bad earlier. Alright, I'm gonna take a little ride out of the park and go hit the nickel plate. Baby's taking a nap, get a little freedom. Yeah! Catch some of the fall colors. Got the pine trees holding on to that evergreen. And these guys losing all the leaves. See on the backside they got all these cabins. Growing with some green giants. Must be cool to live right across the street from this campground. Cozy little spot. Simply can't beat it. Alright, last day at Knoebels for the whole season. The gates just opened at the Phoenix. We got the little one taking a nap.
I'm gonna bring her on. You think we can
She's
grab
going
her?
on? Alright. So it might look like a big line, but it's really only 3 coasters worth or so. $5 to ride. I love how they say on the sign, admission, $5 in tickets. There's no, you know, different colored smoke they're blowing around or Monopoly money or any of that Dave and Buster's points kind
Patty's dollars.
Patty's dollars, there you go. Yeah. This ride is originally from Playland Park, you know, in San Antonio, I think, and they renamed it the Phoenix. Oh, it never gets old. The borderline of danger and fun and feeling safe, it's just like perfect. I guess that depends though for everyone, but it feels pretty dicey on there. I don't know why, but it's seriously one of my favorite things here. It's just like, yes. Make sure to use it so you keep them knowing that it needs maintenance. Or better yet, just that they keep it in working. Let's say they didn't do relief cuts. 3 cracks, almost perfectly symmetrical in thirds. Well, actually not quite. That's a half and 2/4. Autumn, you ready? Oh, that's why they moved it forward to bring them down lower, I guess. Jen just hopped on that one when it was like 8 feet in the air.